So we gotta discuss this topic, and I think a lot of people are. I think there's a lot of valid points. I think there's a lot of points that I don't agree with at all when it comes down to it for Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. But I'm gonna be honest. The question of whether or not Caitlin Clark's hype has died, or has Stephanie White destroyed the Caitlin Clark hype, is kinda like Caitlin Clark had to ascend to an MVP level in year two to kind of live up to the hype. And I'm being very real. Like, I don't think people realize that much more people were interested in watching the Fever a year ago. Like, I think there's a lot of people. I think Caitlin Clark has gone from if it's on, I'll watch. Like, she's gone from appointment television to if it's on, we'll watch her or we'll try. Okay, this is when Caitlin Clark plays. Oh yeah, we'll try to watch. Oh yeah, I'll try to catch Caitlin Clark game. That is what Caitlin Clark is now, and that's still like you're a WNBA player, and I believe you're in a position of like where fans are going to go out of their way to try to watch you play, and I think that's huge. That's still huge. Like we're not going to pretend that like we're not going to pretend that that's still not unbelievable for a WNBA player. But we have to remember that life goes on, and what was once appointment television no longer is. Because let's be real, I'll say it: the Golden State Warriors were appointment television in 2015 and 2016. I've said it tons of times, and this is what I was literally saying at the time when we were complaining about Nike. And I was saying, I'm like, no, the Caitlin mania is going to end. And it is nearly impossible for a mania to last forever. For a mania to last forever, it basically has to be a case of like every single year the player getting better. The player constantly improving, the player ascending to where they get to. And then even with that, when it comes to sports, mania only lasts a certain amount of time. It can only last a certain amount of time because there's a new mania. Like, let's be honest. When Caitlin Clark was coming up in 2024, it was one of the darkest times for the NBA. We watched the playoffs where Boston looked like they were sleepwalking through the East, where Tatum people were just already hate watching Boston because Boston had just been so successful for so long, and they just shot threes and kind of pissed people off. People didn't like that team. And yeah, it is it's one of those things now where the NBA has just had possibly their biggest season in 20 years. Like, we watched what Luka was doing, what Wemby was doing. Shea and the Thunder looked unbeatable for a while. The Knicks just made the finals. A big market team who hasn't won in fucking 50 years just won a championship. The casual fan, like, isn't watching Caitlin Clark anymore. The casual sports fan is watching, like, England v Croatia, which is on right now. The casual sports fan everywhere in the world is watching England v Croatia. And it's one of those things now where I'm like, I still think Caitlin Clark is the most popular WNBA player in the world. But my answer is I think. And yes, people vote with their eyes and they vote with their wallets. I get that. But like, it's not like Caitlin Clark merch is selling out anymore. Obviously the shoe is going to sell out because it's her first shoe. Like, it's not, these shoes aren't going to be limited quantities. Everyone's going to get a pair of Caitlin Clark shoes if you want a pair of Caitlin Clark shoes. And I think it's going to, when it comes to Caitlin sneakers, they're going to sell purely based on like long term. Their sales and are going to be based on, can they be Nike ID'd? If they can't be Nike ID'd, or they better come out with some of the best colorways ever. Immediately, if I'm Caitlin, I'm immediately going with the fucking whoever was in charge of the Kyrie line. Remember the Kyrie, prime Kyrie, where there's the SpongeBob collabs. I actually have like a near brand new pair of Pineapple House Kyries. I just tore my Achilles in one of them, so I just can't even bear looking at them anymore. I snapped my Achilles wearing them. I don't wear high tops, and I never wear high tops. But the one day I wore high shoes, I snapped my Achilles. So for anyone saying, "Oh, low tops are the reason why people are snapping their Achilles," I wore high tops for the second time ever. Well, second time in like 5 years, and I snapped my Achilles. So yeah, it's an interesting one there where it's like, after this, her shoe purely is going to sell based on, how good a shoe it is. It's not going to sell based on her name. And like, people aren't that excited about watching Caitlin Clark anymore, because she's not that exciting a player. Like, she is exciting. When I mean emphasis on the word that. She's clearly exciting. The problem is that, has she been overtaken in "I need to watch this player" by Olivia Miles? What do you guys think? Like, is Olivia Miles more must-watch than Caitlin Clark? I don't think Paige Bueckers or AJ Wilson are as much must-watch as Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's no longer the shiny new toy. Olivia Miles is. And let's be real. Like, fans love you till they hate you. The media has gone at Caitlin Clark. There is what looks to be an organized hate campaign against Caitlin Clark. That being said, it feels like the general public have been, I'm not going to say bored of Caitlin Clark, but there's no longer that I need to see every single dribble of a ball from Caitlin Clark, because that's just, you don't keep attention forever. And now we're going to talk about the second version of this topic. And has Stephanie White ruined Caitlin Clark's hype? I believe Stephanie White's system has contributed to Caitlin Clark's hype being gone. The Indiana Fever, I felt like yesterday was the best they have looked as a team in any game that Stephanie White has coached. It was the best the Indiana Fever have looked, as in the big three. Because yes, they might have had games where someone's chucking up bullshit, and they win. Like, I can't, like, people always think when I say Kelsey Mitchell chucks up bullshit, like against Atlanta, watch the shots Kelsey Mitchell was scoring versus Atlanta versus then against Toronto. Everything was in rhythm. Like, everybody was saying, it's like, oh, you're just going to call it Kelsey Mitchell. Like, no, everything was in rhythm yesterday. I have no flaws with Kelsey Mitchell. But she was just chucking up bullshit against Atlanta and it was going in. But yeah, it's, I feel like Stephanie White's style of play has absolutely contributed to it. The Indiana Fever are not the most exciting team in the W. They're not the best team in the W. They don't have the best athletes in the W. They don't play the fastest in the W, and I don't give a shit about the pay. Don't chuck an advanced stat at me. They used to literally just be, they were the Showtime Fever. We called them the Showtime Fever, the 7 seconds or less Fever. Like, we had all these names for this team, and it was like, this is what we want to watch. And I tweeted out and I was like, does Stephanie White not realize part of her job is to play an exciting brand of basketball for the fans? And everyone's like, oh, that's not part of her job. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Like, I don't think people understand this. Like, if you are a coach, your job first and foremost is to win games. But like, winning games is very rarely enough as a coach. If you're not, like, the Fever are not going to win a championship. So you basically have to win games and win games in a way, like, in a way that fans care about it. Because look, if you haven't seen, the Indiana Fever's attendance is in the shitter. Like, it's in the shitter. They had 15,000 yesterday, and that's, for the Indiana Fever, that's a good attendance right now. And they have 17,500 people there. They've sold out once this year. They've sold out once. Not only that, Caitlin goes to New York and the Liberty have one of their least sold games of the year. Casual fans are not tuning in to watch Caitlin. I think a lot of fans from 2024 have stayed. But the casual fan who doesn't watch every single game of WNBA basketball, who doesn't watch every game of Caitlin Clark, in 2024, everyone went out of their way and said, oh yeah, I'm going to watch this game. In 2025, she got injured, so people forgot. And in 2026, she hasn't been good enough to make those people who got out of the habit of watching Caitlin Clark go back into the habit. Because TV viewership numbers right now are the equivalent of the Fever without Caitlin Clark last year. Maybe a tiny bit higher. And they're nothing on the rookie year. So yes, there are fans that have stuck around, and nearly all the fans that stuck around last year are still going to be there. The big problem is that those casual fans that obviously were there for the start of the year last year, because she was breaking every viewership record to start the year, and Caitlin Clark hasn't given them a reason to come back. Like, she's not I still think she's playing very well, but she's not doing anything she didn't do as a rookie. And I think a big reason for that is the system. It is the system. Like, if Caitlin Clark if she would hit more shots yesterday and put up 30 and 15, then it's like a historic stat line. And if the Fever keep playing like they did last night, maybe when she starts hitting shots. But still, I don't know if it's going to happen. Because you have a pragmatic coach with a risk-taking player. And the hope is that they can find a way to coexist. If they can't, like, if the Fever lose in the first round of the playoffs, I think the question of, are the Fever going to trade Caitlin Clark during the season is a resounding no. But if the Fever lose in the first round of the playoffs and they don't get home court advantage, it's like, you've stagnated. Like, it basically means you are no better with Caitlin Clark than without Caitlin Clark. And things change there. But yeah, like, I don't see Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White lasting. And the problem is that the more time that Caitlin plays this puke ball system, the less her hype's going to be. But that's not all Stephanie White's fault. Her front office clearly says, we don't give a shit about any of that. We just want you to win. And last night, hopefully, is a step in the right direction. Because I think last night is as risk-taking as Stephanie White's going to let Caitlin Clark be. And I was fine with her floor game yesterday. I was fine with the shots she was taking. She just missed. You just assume she's going to hit them. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. See you guys.